Chicago, tonight is just the beginning. With our voices and our votes, we have ushered in a new chapter in the history of our city. The truth is, the people have always worked for Chicago. Whether you wake up early to open the doors of your businesses, or teach middle school, or wear a badge to protect our streets, or nurse patients in need, or provide child care services, you have always worked for this city. And now Chicago will begin to work for its people, all the people. Because tonight is a gateway to a new future for our city. A city where you can thrive regardless of who you love or how much money you have in your bank account. A city that's truly safer for everyone by investing in what actually works to prevent crime.
That's the new mayor-elect of Chicago. His name is Brandon Johnson. And he's giving some fiery speeches as he then found out that he had turned up victorious in that election on Tuesday night. He even boldly talked about reducing crime in Chicago, which, of course, is a talking point for many conservatives and a bit of a tough nut to crack for folks who are in charge. So he went on CNN the next day and talked about how that just might work. Maybe we'll hear him out. Watch.
We do not have to be afraid of leaning into what works. And what we do know, if we want to prevent crime, we have to hire young people and invest in them. There's a direct correlation between youth employment and violence reduction. There's a direct correlation between investing in mental health care related services, mental health professionals, and violence reduction. There's a direct correlation between affordable housing and good paying jobs. I mean, these are the dynamics that ultimately prevent crime. And if you are a mother or a father or aunt or a sibling, you would much rather have had the opportunity to prevent violence from happening than having, provided the closure to solving the violence.
Mayor-elect Johnson is speaking my language. I've always said if we're going to look for trying to stop something and we see that our punitive approach to this has always not worked, maybe we should try to find the source of the problem, invest in the folks that end up finding themselves in these situations, stop seeing everyone as demons, and then maybe we can fix the problem. Try something. We'll see. But you know what? We can't get out of the same rut. Don Lemon there is who he was talking with. And as you heard him talking about investing in people, because that's what can reduce crime, what does Don Lemon go to? Just because it's the normalcy. I'm not coming after Don Lemon specifically on this, necessarily for this, but it's our normal thought process to go, well, wait a second, what about police? That's not what he's talking about. Watch.
You're going to need resources to do that, and some folks believe that you're going to need more than what you promised, 200 new detectives. Is that enough? Will other officers be hired here?
Well, again, it's a comprehensive approach. If we are just simply looking at putting more money into policing, that has demonstrated to be a strategy that is certainly short-sighted. The unique opportunity that we have in this moment is to pay attention to the results that just happened here in Chicago. I was very clear about what's necessary. I've said this the last time we were on together. I am arguably the first mayor to wake up in the city of Chicago who lives in one of the most violent neighborhoods in the entire city. And so what I want for my family, which is a better, stronger, safer community, I want that for every single family across the city of Chicago. And what Chicagoans said overwhelmingly is that we have to get at the root causes of crime.
How crazy of an idea is this, Trey, to invest in the community, especially since he comes from a community that he said was rife with violence, because he understands it, and investing just might help.
Yeah, I've always been kind of upset at how, I don't know, the relationship that this country has with crime and punishment and all of that, and how punitive it seems to be. I feel like on both sides, because I've got a very generally liberal following online, and I'll post things sometimes about prisoners in some rural jail that doesn't have air conditioning, and it's August and it's getting up to 130 degrees in there or whatever, and you can hear them crying out in pain, stuff like that. Sharing it from the perspective look how messed up this is, and I'll have people that follow me be like, well, maybe they shouldn't have done whatever they did to end up in there. The whole don't do the crime, don't do the time thing. And it's people just don't believe in rehabilitation and second chances, which maybe it's because I've got multiple felons in my family and in my close friend group, but I just never been down with all that. It's, when you leave people with no options and engendered desperation in a community or whatever, there's not going to be any, you shouldn't be surprised when this type of thing happens. But anytime somebody starts talking about trying to take a different approach, trying to be proactive instead of just reactive, that's considered soft on crime, because it's like, no, you got real crime now. You got to be hard on that crime, but you're talking about stopping future crime. But what about this crime now? And it's just like the wheels start spinning and nobody gets anywhere. So I hope he does well, and I hope it catches on and spreads, because I'd like to see more of this type of general mentality. Same especially with drug offenses and everything are concerned, treatment, rehabilitation instead of punishment and throwing people in the trash, which is what we tend to do. So
if you've ever complained about the crime in Chicago, then maybe you should want to take a different approach. Why not even just try it? There's a reason they want to try it, because they'd have to put money towards it. Investing in the community would force you to have to pay. And what they don't want to do is put anything towards folks that they deem lesser than them. It's a supremacy thing. It's weird how that's always been the theme of this country. Let's just go to the last side here, SOT 5, because this is my favorite line. It's real quick, but I think it really encapsulates the way that we should approach things. And I love that he said it. Watch.
For too many people in the city of Chicago, we recognize value, but for too many of us, we don't believe that we deserve it. That changes under a Johnson administration.
It's the epitome of this country. We're so great, land of opportunity. Everyone has a chance. How about we tried giving it to them? And the folks that have been under the boot of this for that long don't even believe it's possible. In fact, they don't even deserve it. It's time for that to change.